Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast that makes ancient wisdom relevant today. I'm your host, Raghunath, with co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastubadas. Welcome to the show. Here live with a big group of me and Lori Pag had this weekend at the farm. Live, say Harry Bo. They're all screaming, but these mics don't pick it up. They probably heard nothing, but they all screamed at that point. We're here with Miss Mara spinning the dials. And Miss Mara was in full effect. Her and the chief were cooking up a storm.
Well, the chief was in the kitchen.
The chief was in the kitchen, Mara. And I tell you, yesterday was out of control with the prashad that we had. That sweet kirtan. Miss Maya came up for kirtan. It was just a great weekend.
Has Miss Maya been living in the Bhakti Center?
She has, but she plays hooky and comes up to the farm.
Okay.
Yeah. It was nice. It was really nice. Yeah. Hi, Miss Mary. You got any announcements for us?
Hi, I do.
I forgot to say, it's Q&A day. We got a lot of live questions coming up, and we're going to call people up. We're going to get to know people, hear their story a little bit, and we're going to take questions. Today, if you're new to the show, is the day we take questions that are written in. So if you want to write in questions, where do they write them now? You can write them right to the website now, right?
Yeah. You can, or you can
if
email them
you
to me.
are a member there, only if you're
a supporting member.
Okay, or write to wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
Yep.
By the
So
way,
today-
it's also Guru Purnima. That's an announcement today. We're gonna.
It's Guru Purnim. It's a day to remember all the significant teachers in your life that have brought you on your spiritual journey. And it's a day we keep holy. Guru Purnim, it's the full moon. The Purnim is the full moon. And, we use a lunar calendar. This is the day to have a great appreciation and gratitude. And it becomes very wonderful. Maybe we could take some time and read some biographies today of great spiritual teachers in our lineage. What do you say,
Sounds
Mara?
great. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Me and Mara have been reading about Jagannath Das Babaji and Kishore Das Babaji.
Powerful figures.
Powerful figures. When you read about their lives, hey, Turin, you're standing. I got my 10-year-old son. He's standing right there doing yo-yo in the background. He's been doing magic tricks all weekend. Magic tricks, donation-based magic tricks. That's his gig.
Does he have the rock the cradle one down yet, or whatever that one?
I don't know if he has rock the.
His yo-yo skills.
Yo-yo skills.
As good as his magic.
His magic is getting very good.
Very good.
Magic is getting very good.
Announcements?
Okay, announcements.
Okay. Back to your cover group meetings today at 1 and 7:30 Eastern. Urban Davy meeting via the Bhakti Center website at 11 to 12:30. And that's with Rukmini. Open-hearted curiosity versus heart-blocking assumptions.
That's right.
Heart blocking. Yes.
Thumper blocking.
Don't block that thumper.
Thump, 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 thump. Hey, if you're looking for a yoga retreat, a Bhakti inspired yoga retreat. Sometimes you go to yoga retreat and it's like everyone's getting drunk at the yoga retreat. If you're looking for a Bhakti inspired yoga retreat, me and Nikki Haas have a retreat coming up September 20th to the 22nd. She's wonderful. And that's going to be at Super Soul Farm. Go to my website, raghunath.yoga. Also, Jerseyites, I'm going to be at Balance Planet Yoga doing all day Bhakti immersion, which includes asanas, storytelling, kirtan. And then I'm going to do another workshop the next day, September 8th at Bohemia Yoga on Long Beach Island. So if you're in Jersey, September 7th and 8th, that's the weekend. Looking forward to seeing everybody. Go to my, check out those two studios, Bohemia Yoga and Balance Planet Yoga. That's it. We got some cues, Mr. Kostuba.
We do. Do you want me to read them?
Actually, we're going to bring up the people.
Oh, yeah. Bring up the people. That's
and
right.
we're going to talk to them.
I think Bhakti Udi is
First person
first.
we got is Bhakti Udi. Bhakti Udi's been my assistant. Give a big Harry Bowl, everybody. Woo! There's everybody. So Bhakti Udi, we might have met him on the show before. He's here with his brother Effie, actually, who's 17. And his mother is a great soul. She listens to the show occasionally. He's from Brownsville, Texas. Effie's sleeping in today. It's sleeping Sunday for him.
Sleeping.
But he's been he's been a great help.
You got to wake that
at
kid
the
up.
farm. You got to learn how to gently wake people up, Costa. You got to
Gently.
gently. We've been
I didn't
gently
say-
waking him up.
I didn't say do it roughly, but
Hare
8:15.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you, Prabhu. It is such an honor to be here, especially on Guru Purnim, because the show has radically improved my life for the better. And I'm eternally grateful. And now that Raghunath Prabhu is engaging me in service here at Super Soul, the blessings are extending my family. I'm being showered with blessings. So it is such an honor to be here.
You know,
Hare
there's
Krishna.
one thing about that Udi has, and that's an inspired enthusiasm, which is very addictive, and it works very good in spiritual life. Being enthusiastic is great for material life, for sure. It's good in the workplace. It's good in relationships. Enthusiasm for spiritual life is great, and it's a quality. I think you probably were always enthusiastic, but when that good quality is engaged in spiritual life, it becomes spiritual life becomes joyful. So happy you're here. How can we serve you? What's your question today, brother?
So I hope maybe my question could be helpful to other devotees as well, and fans of the show. My question is that I'm finding that my old traits as a spiritual seeker can sometimes hinder my faith in Shastra. For instance, when reading Shastra, I sometimes doubt, intellectualize too much, or have the inclination to connect points to ideas in text that are outside of the Bhakti tradition. This is prevalent when I read something fantastical outside of my cultural understanding, or something that is an unpleasant truth that I wish wasn't true.
I have had that too. Yeah, you can relate.
These spiritual seeking tendencies were useful for me to get into Bhakti, but now I suspect it is hindering the deepening of my faith. How can I transition from a spiritual seeker into a deeper Bhakti practitioner and quell my doubts when reading Shastra? Thank you.
Good question. I want to see that. Let me keep that question up so I can look at it. You ever have those like things where, like, I remember being a teenager and praying, God, please show me the way. God,
Show me the way.
Show me the way. Show me the
And
way.
he did.
Then he showed me the way. I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for the way. It was sort of like that. I agree with it all, but I don't know if I'm ready
Are there
for
any
it.
other ways?
Is there any other ways I cannot give up this and still get that? It's basically, what are we asking? Pure love of God is a high bar. And yeah, and I can understand, you know, as far as like fantastic things that are maybe hard to swallow, I always put that on pause, and I look at what I can swallow, and I start very simply. What can I swallow? Because sometimes we hear very fantastic things that are like, this must be a myth, and it's okay. We can reserve that for thinking about later on in life. But here are the basics that I do fully get, and you can start very simple. Rising early is good for me. Controlling my senses is good for me. Controlling my mind is good for me. The thoughts are things. That's good for me. I should know that. I just got to be careful about my thoughts. I got to be careful what I consume through my mouth. I got to be careful of the sounds that are coming out of my mouth. These are very, very important. And those sounds that are coming out of my mouth are affected by what I'm putting in my ears. What is the media I'm consuming? What's going to happen is, after a while, you'll get a taste for high level consumption, like people get addicted to superfoods or local produce or fruits for breakfast. You know, I used to eat bacon and eggs and everything. Some people smoke cigarettes for breakfast. You know what I mean? And then you get to this point where, like, no, I never do that again. You'll get a higher taste for what you consume spiritually, because it's all information, and we don't want low grade information in the mind, because that comes out of the mouth. And we were saying yesterday how the words that come out of our mouth create an environment, create people. People are attracted to the things that come into our that come out of our mouth. So we create friends, we create relationships, we create partners, we create a household with the words that are coming out of our mouth, and that all comes from what I consume. And you'll develop a healthy addiction for those things, and the repulsive things, you'll move away from those things. How did I get talking about this, Kastuba? Is anything to do with your question?
You're rolling.
I'm
Rolling.
on a roll here, but I'm not sure if it's connected to the question. It's
I'm
all
not sure where we're
important.
rolling.
Taking what I could swallow, reading Shastra, understand the practice.
Understand the practice. Yeah. And then you get in that higher taste, you will move forward. And I put a pause on these things, and we got to understand. Of course, we don't understand everything. You know, I can understand how my watch works because I can read the time, or I can understand the time, but I can't understand how the actual watch works. I'm going to have to peel that stuff apart. That's going to take time to figure out. There is a way it works because it works. And how do I know it works? Because it's telling me time. But I don't know how to build that watch. I can't even quite figure out how this microphone works or how a text message works, but it's working. And there is a way to figure it out. And if you want to figure it out, keep taking tiny steps forward. But understand, at least now you can tell time and you're getting benefit from the time. What do you think, Stu?
I'm with you, Raghunath. Benefit from that time. Oh, what do I think? Like my own answer?
Yeah, what do you think? Like, what do you think?
Okay.
Like, not what do you think about what I said, but what do you think
Okay.
what I said, and what do you think about
But
life in general?
You know, so this practice of bhakti it's Bhakti Vedanta, right? It's a practice of approaching the end of all knowledge, Veda Anta, right? And the way that it's practiced, a very central part, perhaps the most central part, is it's done through inquiry. That one person is asking a question to another person who's revealing the answer based on the Vedic texts. And but whenever we want to approach anything, you know, it is necessary, if we want to understand truth, that we question it. And kind of questioning it, you know, has to do with when we have to test it. You know, you have to test it. And when you test something, the way you test something, like particularly like a philosophy or a doctrine or whatever, you have to try to find the weakness in it, or try to find the inconsistencies in it. And so that's where the mind goes. It's almost like a lawyer, you know, will try to find the weaknesses in an argument, and then that's where you pull on the string and that it starts to fall apart. And so that's what we do when we're trying to approach these different philosophies about life. Even within Vedanta, the different presentations of Vedanta, we have to try to, is there a weakness there? Is there a string I can pull on, and does it start to fall apart? So that's good. We want to do that, and it sounded to me like that's part of what your question is about. Like, I'm doing a lot of that, but I'm not sure if it's always helping me. Is that kind of, am I kind of on track?
And sometimes, you know, my mind will, you know, create doubts or.
Yeah. And that's to be expected. You know, now in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's such a beautiful, important text on bhakti. The author, Krishnadas Kaviraj, he wrote this one. He's writing these chapters in the Adi Leela in the beginning, and they're just chock full of dense, incredible information, you know, philosophy and Vedanta presentation. And he writes this, he says that if you are indeed interested in logic and argument, then kindly apply it to the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And if you do, you will find it to be strikingly wonderful. Yeah.
What a great statement.
And you know, this is coming from a person that's like a, you know, a philosophical genius, you know, like these Goswamis, they're sitting there in Vrindavan and like going deep into Vedanta, deep, you know. He's saying if you apply to Sri Chaitanya's presentation of bhakti as it comes through Vyasadeva, Guru Purnima, little Vyasadeva connection here, right? As it comes through him and his literatures, and ultimately how it's churned to its very essence in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya presents that. And if you turn your questioning to that, turn your I forget how you characterize, but your like habits or whatever of this kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Investigation, you know?
Investigation.
Yeah, this kind of investigation. If you turn it to that, you're going to find it strikingly wonderful. But of course, that assumes that we're doing it in the right mood. That assumes that we're approaching, you know, it has to be approached the right way. Like, imagine if you really knew a subject, and then someone who didn't know it was trying to see how well you knew it, And so at the beginning, they're placing questions to you where they're trying to find if there's any kinks in your presentation, any weaknesses. And you answer those consistently and clearly and thoroughly, illustrating that you know your subject. And then they kind of said, okay, I think you're the guy I want to go with. I think I want to continue to go into this deeper. But as you went deeper into the subjects, and some of them might have be difficult for that person to understand, they never gave, it's not that they never gave up the questioning, but they continued. At a certain point, you're going to be like, I'm ready to answer any question you have, and in any doubt that you have, you can bring it forward. But you have to stop viewing me as kind of like an enemy almost, you know, like, and at a certain point, you're going to have a little faith in me, and use that faith as what's going to help you leap from one platform to the next. And when you get to that other side, it's not that it's you have nothing but the faith left, but that faith will help you get to the place where you understand it yourself and you can explain it and you could defend it.
We always want discernment with us. That was beautiful. We always
thank
want
you.
discernment. We carry that with us as we go to
Yeah,
every
yeah,
level.
that's it. Yeah.
It's not like, now I believe, I'm saved. We're
And the
always
questioning
questioning.
continues. Yeah.
That's how we sharpen intelligence. And Kostu said this beautiful point. This great master like Krishnadas Kaviraj, these incredible philosophical minds. When I say, if you say, hey, there's this guy I know with an incredible philosophical mind, oftentimes there's a very big ego wrapped up in that. We're talking about people with incredible intelligence, incredible philosophical mind, whose hearts are wide open. They're gushing. They just want to serve you and take care of you and nourish and love you up. It's like a whole different animal. And we've met people in our lifetimes within our community, Kostu, right? Who are like brainiacs, people that you can't even talk to them sometimes. They're talking on higher levels, but they have a different thing about, they have a heart about them that's so wonderful. It's beautiful quality to see. I hope that helped, Udi.
And so let's go a little deeper into this.
We're going to go deeper. We're going to go deeper.
Like a little further. So therefore, within Bhaktivedanta, understanding, knowing that this is a process of student inquiring from teacher. It's a descending knowledge. You present the questions, they present the answers, but the connection happens. It's what the Shastra itself tells us, as well as all of those that have come into the tradition, is they're saying with this knowledge, with this grade of knowledge, with this category of knowledge, the most refined knowledge, it's not merely academic. So it's not something that you just, like any other subject that you might master in academia, because it is the very substance of what we're trying to imbibe is spiritual in nature. It's only going to, the transfer is only going to go into, it will only be transferred into the mind and the heart of one who's accepting it in the way that it can take root and grow in one. And that has a lot to do with the condition of the heart, and that is in the etiquette to create that fertile mind and heart has a lot to do with how you approach the person that you're questioning. And so that, therefore, like in Bhagavad Gita, when it gets down to like, how do you question the guru? You know, the very famous verse, Tadvidhi pranipatena, pariprashnena sevya. Pariprashnena, like pari means going around, right? So like you can question this from all around, from every angle you can question. You can be diligent and thorough. But it says pariprashnena sevya. But you also have to render service to the person that you're questioning. That's part of the formula for the knowledge being transferred, because that's going to cultivate the right mood, the mood of respect, the mood of simplicity, the humility. If that's not there, the real thing doesn't, it really doesn't transfer, right, Raghunath?
Vegans, hold your ears. It's like milking a cow. You can't just say, "You give me milk," and hit them with the stick. You get, to milk
Gotta
a
get
cow,
down
you
there
gotta be
on your
really-
knees.
You gotta get down. You gotta get soft. You gotta give them a little love, and they have to feel loved, and then they give more milk.
Yeah.
Yours like that.
Yeah. So really the answer to your question is you need to find someone or some people that answer your questions well and that you trust. Like Raghunath writes in his book, he writes about like how in his early days he was coming around. This was fascinating. This is making a lot of sense. I don't know though. It's kind of weird. Some stuff is a little bit hard to swallow. People aren't able to, when he would ask someone questions, if they would even give him the time of day, he would get sometimes these kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? These kind of rote stock kind of answers. Like, well, here's the official answer, without really trying to hear you or hear your doubt or address your doubt, without the sensitivity or the refinement to actually make it sink in. So he found someone like that in Satyaraj Prabhu, Stephen Rosen. And that's where the growth took place. That's where like the faith grew. That's because he had the right person that could answer his questions. And then he found more people like that as he went on. So, that's our thing too. Tasmad gurum papadyeta jignasu shreya uttamam. You have to approach a guru, and really the idea is you surrender to them prapadyeta and jignasu shreya uttamam. You have to really sincerely question about what's the highest good, and then shabde pare chanishnatam, that this person has to be learned fully, thoroughly studied in shabda, in this knowledge through sound. And pare, and they say you could say pare shabde pare means this higher sound. Or you can also, the acharyas say that pare there means with God. Like they need to know this knowledge, and they need to have some experience, some connection to the Supreme. And they need to be detached from material things. You find that kind of person in your life, and you place your questions in the right mood, and then you'll find your doubts will be will disintegrate. But you have to realize that Shastra is going to speak in many different ways. Like we were talking a little bit about the difference between the Western mind and the Eastern mind earlier in the week. Remember that? And like I think our Western minds want, like, okay, you come down from the hill with the carved out commandments, right? Tablets, big stone tablets. It's carved in there. It's not going to change. It's not flexible. It's like really just simple. Tell me what not to do and let me go to heaven. It's kind of like that. And this Eastern tradition is like, it's going to speak to you on whatever level you're at. It's going to sound different, even a little contradictory sometimes because it's so broad. It's going to speak to you. Sometimes it's going to speak to you like a etched tablet that's never going to change. And sometimes it's going to speak to you like in a human way.
Shades of gray.
Shades of gray. In a very human way. Like it'll speak in a more human way, like using phrases and so on that are more flexible. It'll speak to you like a friend sometimes. Sometimes it's going to speak to you like a teacher. Shastra will speak to you in all these different ways. And someone that's experienced with it is going to help you understand, no, you don't have to try to squeeze it into your little mind box in that shape. Accept it as it is and understand that it's speaking to you in another way. And it's that kind of refinement that can help us kind of get over some of those hurdles that are just like, I'm bumping up against this thing and it's just not fitting,
Good answer.
Family
Feud.
Thank you.
Thank you, Udi.
Hare Krishna.
All right, continuing on with Q&A day today. Miss Mara, who's next on our... Andrea K from Beaver, PA.
Oh, she's so nice.
Andrea K. She's got an incredible community in Beaver, Pennsylvania. It's called the Sangha Center. And now with this microphone, Andrea K, you got to speak right on that mic, like your lips, like right here.
What do you know about Beaver, Pennsylvania?
What do I know that Beaver, Pennsylvania? It's a dry town. It's a dry
that's
town.
right.
You cannot drink alcohol in Beaver.
That must be like some old school Quaker thing or something?
Old school Quaker thing, exactly. And they're like, should we get this off the dockets or not?
The people that donated the land to the town were not said that if this is going to be for a town for people, you're not allowed to drink alcohol here. So it's stayed
like
that way
into
for...
perpetuity or whatever.
Isn't that,
That's
isn't
crazy.
That,
Exactly.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Pretty
So
neat.
what else did they do? They had
No dancing, no showing your ankles either.
The ball was in their court. They could have just dictated anything.
They could have said anything. And you got to hop on one foot on Sunday.
That's where they filmed Footloose. No, I'm just kidding.
So Andrea
Kidding.
K, we just
Yes.
figured out where we met. That was like
Yes.
12 years ago.
Wanderlust Festival. It was
West Virginia.
2018, I think. Is that correct?
Oh, it must have been before that.
It might have been before that. Yeah, I signed up for a class. It was called Bhagavad Gita for Dummies because that was me. I
There we
consider
go.
myself a
Oh, I thought I
dummy.
was the I thought it was Bhagavad Gita by dummies.
By dummies. From
And
dummies.
Yeah, and since then I've been kind of following Raghunath around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wandering
And
around.
First time at the farm.
It is my first time at the farm and on Guru Purnima. It's super special. So thank you to Lori, who was our teacher for part of
Oh.
the weekend. So she's amazing.
Lori's
And
great, isn't she?
she's
Lori
great. Love her,
Pag.
love her.
I don't think she's ever missed a podcast episode. Not only that, but practically speaking, never missed it live. Like not
Wow.
just like heard it while she was like cleaning the basement or something like that. She actually just is always there. Number one first person on the and has been to India with me
Pole
like 8
position.
times. And she's a very powerful, influential. Just like I met Paige yesterday. I didn't know Paige, and Paige, nice girl from Newport, and a lot of people just they're yogis from Newport, and I was like, hey Paige, and Paige was like, oh yeah, I listen to the podcast every day. I was like, what? And it's like it's amazing, and Lori's just like inspires people, and so we're happy Lori Pag's here. Happy
There you
you're
go.
here,
Thank
Andrea
you,
K.
thank you. Yeah.
Happy Paige is here. What's your question today?
Well, first I
Prabhu?
want to say thank you on Guru Purnima and thank you Kutu Kastuba and thank you
Oh.
for exposing me to all of this because it's really changed my life. It's
You're a
been
good teacher too.
such.
She's
thank
a
you
very
very
good
much.
teacher.
Thank you, and
She's beloved.
all the people on the podcast, I feel like not all, but I met a lot of them, and all the folks here. It's absolutely changed who I am as a person, and I say this all the time. It's made me a better person. I'm gonna get emotional.
It's okay. Cry.
What's the name of your yoga studio again?
Sangha Center?
Sangha Center. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank
Beaver,
you.
PA.
Beaver, PA.
Yeah.
Not
Don't
far
bring
from
any alcohol.
not far from Pittsburgh.
Not far. Yeah.
No, because I think I told you, but my grandparents and my father grew up in Elwood City, Pennsylvania, which I think is like
Yes.
right next door, right?
It's just a little north of me. So I'm right near the Pittsburgh airport. So we're right near there. So we're about a half
Okay.
hour north
Oh,
of
are
Pittsburgh
you in-
and then
Beaver County, or is it a
both. So it's
Beaver
Beaver County,
County.
but there's a town of Beaver, which is kind of a
Okay.
city. It's like
We're gonna
No.
drill into this right now.
Are there a lot of beavers
Where's
there?
your house?
Yeah.
This is called a beaver, not a squirrel. A beaver.
Right. A little different. Little
Maybe
bigger.
Costuba, next time we go visit your family, you do a program in Beaver, PA at
Yeah.
Sangha Center.
Beaver. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I picked Kastuba.
talked
and
about that last time.
Yeah, we went to Zeb's studio when he was
Okay.
in town last time. Yeah, it was great.
You got
Okay.
upset last time I went there. You thought there was some kind of revolution going on.
I thought there
There
was a
was.
revolution. Oh,
He
there
doing
was.
something with- well, we were doing something without you for once. No, it was great. It was a great program, and yeah, a
I
lot of my
enjoyed it.
students got to go and hear you speak, so it was
I
fantastic.
enjoyed it.
Thank you.
That place was hot though. When I walked in that hot yoga place, I was like,
Oh, yeah.
whoa.
Well, hot yoga's big. I think hot Bhagavad Gita is the next fad that's going to happen. It's like I'm sweating. I'm understanding chapter 7 now, but I'm sweating like a dog.
Yeah, class had just ended, so it was still about 95 degrees in the room. when we were
Yeah.
doing class.
Yes.
It was hot. It was hot. All right, ready for my question?
Yes.
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 So I feel like this is a bad word, but election.
Oh, election.
Yeah,
Oh, that was
it feels
bad.
like a bad word to me anyway. With the upcoming election, I'm finding division in friend groups, family, along political lines.
Oh my
I
goodness!
know
And that assassination attempt was probably right in your backyard.
it was about 45 minutes north of where I
Oh,
live.
45.
wow. It's right.
Okay.
Butler.
Yeah, it was right north of where I live.
Mm.
And I don't want to be caught up in the anger, negativity with people in my life because there's a lot of people in my life I very much respect and do things with all the time and in different ways, but we have very different political views, very different.
Sure.
And I don't want to get caught up in that anger because it feels like it's everywhere and it's so divisive.
Super
Uh,
divisive.
So I'm trying to figure out the best way to deal with that from a bhakti perspective. Should I distance myself from them for this short period? Unfriend people from social media or just like get off of it for a little while? I want to stay even-minded in myself and I don't want to ruin relationships over something. And as we talk in bhakti, it's temporary, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how I'm trying to think of it. So I'm just looking for some advice on that.
That's a great question.
That's a great question. You want me to take a shot? Or you want to go first?
Yeah, as you like.
You know, there's a highest truth. There's a highest truth, and the highest truth is that we're all spirit souls. We're lost in the material world. Our hearts are breaking. We're falling in love. We're getting money. We're losing money. As long as we have these bodies, we go through the changes and the pain of material existence. But we're spirit souls, and we're desperately looking to invest our love and our hope and our faith somewhere. And when we don't have spirit, God in our life, we invest it in ideas from imperfect people, movements,
parties,
isms, or sometimes we just invest it in a being, you know, a person, a pet, or, you know, a car, or a hobby, and we invest it there.
Maybe
We're saying
some music.
In music, yeah, sure. And so we say, take that love and invest it in the highest truth. And I think it's safe to say, because Stu and myself, it's not like we were just like, we don't have any opinions of this material world, but we felt like if we give our life to Source, that will be the roots that we water that will solve all the problems of this world. Here's one little example. I was interested in animal rights. I was very vocal, very bold, had a huge platform to speak on, got like tens of thousands of people into vegetarianism and veganism. That being said, is that the best and highest truth I could give somebody? After really thinking about it, I felt, no, it's not. Why? Because you can be a vegan or a vegetarian and still be a complete jerk. You know, you can still be angry. You can be hateful. So the highest thing is where we have to change people from the very core of their character to learn how to love, not just people that are like us and that commit to our political party or commit to our ideas or ideology, but learn to love people that are even different from us. And this is going back and forth with what we were talking about this week, how we see these political debates. You know, he crushes the woke student. We're not interested in crushing anybody. We're interested in unearthing people's soul and seeing people for their great potential. And if I compromise giving people the highest truth and go to my ideas of what political party, first of all, we're all freaking clueless. We have no idea who the massive puppeteers are behind this entire political system. But if we compromise the highest
conspiracy theories, who are the puppeteers?
Do you actually think everything is being directed by one person? No, there's teams of think tanks creating our laws in this world. So anyway, why compromise this highest truth for some lesser truth that we ourselves are just speculating on? And we don't even know even if we speculate and say, yeah, this is the best, nicest group of political people we could vote for. Does that actually mean the best thing for our country anyway? We have no idea. We're clueless. We're short-sighted. We're armchair critics. Why compromise the highest truth for some lower truth that we don't even know about? So we say the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is we're spirit souls lost in the material world. And I want to reconnect with Source. And that's going to be the highest thing. Going back to the analogy of animal rights, I want to give people not just a good thing and not just one of the good qualities you get out of Bhakti, but if you give them the highest thing, all good things will come from that. You water the roots of the tree, all the leaves become satisfied. And we see that Prabhupada himself, he just preached pure Bhakti. But I know tens of thousands of people who got into vegetarianism or animal rights just because he preached a message of nonviolence. They didn't become devotees per se, but they got serious about it. But a lot of people who did take spiritual life seriously, they also realized, wow, there's a soul in an animal. Matter of fact, that's a very common thing people say when they preach about animal rights. They'll say, well, you know, animals are beings. You know, animals are conscious beings. People say those things. If we want to be ethical, we should care about the ethical treatment of animals. I give that credit to these swamis and saints like Prabhupada who came here in the 60s and taught that truth, because previously, in my generation growing up and previously, animals were just stone. They were commodities. They were things that we have dominion to do whatever the hell we want to do with them. We can love them or we can cut their throats. And that's just not true. So our point is, you give the highest and all those other things become covered. We all be, and so he didn't have to bomb a slaughterhouse. He didn't have to glue the locks of a furrier or spray paint or break windows. He just taught Bhagavat Dharma, that we are souls and we're lost and we need connection. And in that connection, all good things come. Keep the main thing the main thing. Thank you. I rest my case.
Drop. Mic drop.
Kostuba.
I was thinking, I appreciate, Andrea, your approach here, your thoughtfulness to this. I was thinking when Raghunath and I were young men.
Young man.
We
Let
me be more careful.
Can you see you and me are like village people, but devotee village people? Brahmin.
Village of Vrindavan people.
Vrindavan village people.
So, but when we were kids, we were into these.
Oh, I got to the best turbo scenario. The Vrindavan village people, and one guy, you're in Vrindavan, like you're making the Tulsi malas. You're making the Tulsi malas. You're the pujari. Like we have to have different men.
Like one guy's a pujari, one guy's like a
outfits.
A avadut.
One guy's walking around like a loincloth. One guy's doing Dandavat Parikaram.
Cowherd boy. All right. Have you satisfied your need to?
Yes, okay. The turbo scenario is over. The squirrel's back in the cage.
Okay.
Continue on.
All right. So when we were kids, we were into these underground youth kind of subcultures.
The yippies. Remember the yippies? They're not hippies. They're
the yippies are kind of. I mean, they're still around, but that wasn't our thing.
It wasn't ours. It was people
but,
we knew. Yippies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But and a lot of it was kind of happening in England and in America. There was a connection in the subcultures and all that. And right as we were coming into it in the early 80s, there was like a real in England, there was like a real push for the National Front, which was like their kind of radical right-wing racist. Yeah.
People talk about radical right wing now. Kostuba and me, we witnessed it. they were like right in our face on a regular basis.
And so that they kind of tried to drive a wedge into the youth subcultures in England, and that kind of bled over into the States as well. And so and there was and the different bands they all responded to it in different ways. And a beautiful thing that kind of grew out of that at the time was like all the ska music, which was it was like a response to that. It was, the bands were kind of like multiracial, and the music had this theme of unity.
This was like 82.
Yeah, or even a little earlier, 80 it started. And the band, the Specials, are probably like the most important band that were involved in all that. And Jerry Dammers was like their songwriter, and the kind of like the mastermind behind the whole. This is right on. No, don't put that squirrel away. I'm on point here. I'm on point. But I was saying, but Jerry Dammers, he was like kind of the mastermind of this whole very nice, kind of beautiful anti-racist musical movement. And then when the Specials broke up, he had another band called the Special AKA, and they released one song. I don't know if you remember this, Raghunath. It's right on point. You're going to see.
Special
in
AKA.
a second, you're going to put that squirrel right in your back pocket.
Go ahead.
They had a song called Racist Friend. You see I'm tying it back in here, right? They had a song called Racist Friend. And the lyrics went, if you have a racist friend, now is the time for your friendship to end. And it said, be it your sister, be it your brother, be it your cousin, your uncle, your lover. If you have a racist friend, now is the time for your friendship to end. And, I think as kids, we're like, yeah, that's right. You got to take a stand. You got to, but when I began to learn about what spirituality really meant, I saw that it was a deeper understanding of what like racism is, and racism is just one topic that divides us. But we have Atma Jnana. We have knowledge of the self. And that knowledge of the self, as Raghunath was saying, it is the rising tide that lifts all boats. It is that
It was nice. It was nice, right?
what's the word? The one medicine that like cures all diseases.
Panacea.
Panacea. It's the panacea. Because what it helps us understand is that behind not only the body, but behind the mind is the self. And the mind gets warped by our experience. So it's just like if the same, you can have two people that grew up under different circumstances, and if you would have just switched them at birth, they might have each embraced the opposite attitude, because we get shaped by our external experiences unless we're very thoughtful or determined not to be. And so what the spiritualist understands is we might stand against a stance that someone's took, but we don't stand against the person that took it. And if we're ever going to be able to positively influence one another, it's more likely that it's going to happen through friendship and respecting each other than by breaking friendships.
Oh, I like that. I like that. You
I
did a
told you.
180 hairpin.
You
on
see,
that.
there's no squirrel to be seen now.
There
Raghunath.
wasn't a
I don't see you
squirrel.
waving that squirrel now.
That was a great answer.
But I'm not done yet.
I want you to be done because I want to get. I think it's a great answer, but I want to get another person in here.
One last point.
Okay.
Sometime, it was a couple months or so, a few months, it was a while back on the show, we did a nugget about this one black gentleman who went into the KKK and made friends with the members of the KKK. And rather than like pose as like someone that's like, a fighter against them, he walked in there and just said, let's try to understand each other. And miraculously, he actually transformed like hundreds of KKK members, by maintaining friendship. So I get what you're saying. It can be hard it can be really disturbing to the mind. And I think the things that you brought up are things you want to seriously consider. Maybe I'm just going to stay away from social media, and maybe I'm just going to be careful who I associate, because you don't want to break those connections. Use those connections to try to uplift one another.
I like that, Kostuba. Very good answer.
Thank you so much.
Good answer,
All
right?
right. Andrew K. Hey,
Racist
I want to
friend,
give
Raghunath.
Here we go. Let's hear it. Let's hear it for everybody. Yeah. Woo! Now I want to give a shout out to Grace Young, who's listening in Vrindavan.
Grace Young.
She's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Vrindavan. And Maya's driving home, listening to us. I see her out there too.
Now, Grace Young, she wrote into us the other day, and she was under the impression that we coined the term medical tourism, but we didn't actually, right? We were just
No, medical tourism is a huge thing.
Yeah, it's out there.
But I said something different.
What'd you
I
say?
said, what's the other thing I said? I said something else tourism.
Oh, like pilgrimage.
I can't remember what we were
tourism
talking
or
about.
something?
Medical
Okay.
tourism is huge.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's at the airport right now.
She's at the airport. Oh, I said medical pilgrimage. Remember?
Medical pilgrimage. Okay.
No, that's right. Thank you, Dana. You, because people are going to India for medical.
So maybe you did coin that. Okay.
Yeah, I coined medical pilgrimage. Thank you. I'll take full credit for that. Not enough. Okay, who's next? Come on down. You're the next contestants. Sandy, come on, Sandy. Marta. Oh, Marta. Yeah, we got to do Sandy and Marta. So let's.
All right.
Marta, you're in. Don't give me this. All right, come on down. Sandy, right into the mic. Your mouth has to be this close, like this. Welcome, Sandy. Sandy, what's your story?
I'm from Tiverton, Rhode Island,
All right.
and this is my first time here.
Have you ever heard the podcast before?
No.
Oh, all
Get
right.
a little close. You got to really eat that mic. You got to be right
Eat
on
that
this.
mic. You got to be right on there. You're a yoga student of Lori's. You came on the retreat. Had no idea what you're stepping into.
Yep.
Did you have a good weekend?
I had an excellent weekend.
How was the kirtan yesterday? Do you like kirtan?
I love it.
Okay. Are you pretty new to kirtan?
Yes.
Okay. Was that your first kirtan?
Sort of, yes.
Sort of,
So, like
okay.
a real one, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Like Lori Chance in class, but like this weekend, Murdunga and cartels and
Yeah, and I
Maybe-
got my cartels. I got cartels that I'm learning how to play.
great. And what do you do in Tiverton?
I bartend and I teach yoga and I sing in a band.
All right.
Okay, what's the name of the
Beautiful.
band?
Phoenix Ave.
Okay. Shout out to Phoenix Ave out
Yeah.
there.
Phoenix.
Okay.
what now?
What's your question today, dear?
So I don't even know. Oh, I'm gonna have a hot flash. I'm so nervous. So
Don't worry, we're not going to have a heart palpitation at any moment. Everything's good.
If I die from a heart palpitation, you're gonna feel horrible. You know that, right?
No, you don't die from a heart
joking
palpitation.
about it, and then he just dropped.
so I don't know if this is a good question, but I'm just
Well, we're about to tell you if it is.
No,
okay.
we-
Yeah, if it's not, we'll just skip it and move on to a different one.
No, believe me, what do you call it? We check out what it starts with a V.
Vet.
We vet all these questions, so it's already passed.
It's already passed the vetting
Unless you're gonna-
process.
Unless you're going
Okay.
to ad lib one.
Ask
Well,
the
it's-
question. Ask the question.
Okay.
Ask the question.
So I've been kind of on a spiritual path. Yeah, the right. I got to eat the microphone.
There you go.
I'm on, but I'm confused and I read many years ago, so I apologize if I get the quote wrong, but I think it was Ramakrishna who said, "It doesn't matter where you dig your well, as long as you dig it deep." And that was a metaphor for finding your connection to God or to sacredness and the highest truth.
Okay.
And so
Like that.
I've kind of spent my life digging. If you could see my spiritual backyard, there's like a
that a
million
lot of
little
pits?
A
holes.
lot of little holes.
Yeah,
But none of them deep.
none of them deep. How do you know when you found the right hole? How do you know where to keep digging? That's
Oh, can I answer this question, Raghunath?
No.
Okay.
No, yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
because it
But
relates
remember, we're
so
gonna
much.
save time for Marta too.
Oh, well, then maybe we go a little overtime today because it's Guru Purnima.
Uh-oh.
uh-oh.
Can we
Okay.
do that?
Yep.
All right. So this is Guru Purnima is the birthday, the appearance day of Srila Vyasadeva. Now, are you familiar with Srila Vyasadeva?
No, she's not familiar.
See, this is a crime. Everyone should know. Anyone that even comes near yoga should know him right off the bat, right,
Yeah.
Raghunath?
Now get out of here.
Okay.
Not her crime. It's a crime. But all of the ancient Vedic literature, all the Upanishads and the Vedas and the Bhagavad Gita and the Mahabharata and books like the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we read from every day on our podcast, there's this massive body of literature that all of the yoga teachings come from. And they all came through one person. It's not exactly that he wrote them all, but he was like he was a sage that kind of downloaded them, like mystically accessed. And then he wrote them all down, and he wrote a huge body of literature, knowing that we were going into a darker age. He wanted to write it all down, and he wanted to divide it all up and categorize it all in ways that made it easier to understand. And
First,
he wrote,
right. First, it was these
The
guys
four
are so they can't just remember things. They just can't,
can't remember
remember.
things.
We're gonna have to write it down. And
Yeah.
then what happened in about 1995 was like these people won't even read things anymore. We're gonna have to make audiobooks. These won't even read any longer.
yeah, that's the latest.
That's where we're at right now.
Okay.
Okay,
And,
continue.
and so he wrote these massive collection, I think it's like 200,000 verses or so. Oh, no, like 20,000 verses, which was the four Vedas. These are books that taught you how to be like a good, righteous person and how to get good karma and enjoy the world in a righteous way. And then he composed books called the Upanishads, 108 books that were about, enjoying the things of this world. It only goes so far, and it's always followed by suffering. I'm not of this world. I'm not this body. I'm something beyond this. Let me turn within instead of trying to find happiness through external things. Let me go within and try to find my own blissful nature within. Let me renounce this world. And then he wrote, and then he said, you know what? These books are only for like very few people, priests and renunciates can understand these books. Let me write books for the masses. And he wrote stories like the Mahabharata with the Bhagavad Gita in it and the Puranas, which are the huge collections of book stories. And he began to speak more in those books. He also began to speak more about this devotional side that, you know what? It's one thing to enjoy this world. It's another thing to renounce this world. But higher than both of them is like divine love, which kind of employs it kind of employs the best of both of those sides and goes still further. And he wrote all of these books, and then he was feeling depressed, and he couldn't understand, why am I depressed? What's not right? And he began to realize, I've written so many books on so many different subjects, and I've approached people on whatever level they're at. If you're into the things of the material world, I've got books for you, the Vedas. If you want to reject this world, I got books for you, the Upanishads. If you want to if you want to find like a connection with love to the Supreme, I've provided those books too. But he realized, I haven't emphasized divine love enough, because this is actually an evolution. It moves in this direction from becoming righteous within the world to rejecting the world to transcending both of those, and finding divine love, and through love of God, love with every living being. And he's saying people are going to look at my books, and they can make two mistakes. Potentially they can make two mistakes. One is that they can consider the less mature teachings to be the conclusion, and now they're going in the wrong direction. Or two, they could think that all of these teachings are of equal value, and in this way they're never going to progress towards the conclusion. And so what Ramakrishna said about, like, it doesn't matter where you dig, Vyasadeva was concerned that people would interpret it that way. And therefore, whereas like all the teachings are equal, it doesn't matter which one, they're not going to understand the progression. And so he went back and he refined the book called the Srimad Bhagavatam, where he explains that all of these teachings move in a direction from being righteous and good within this world and enjoying the prosperity of this world, to recognizing the futility in the things of this world and leaving the world behind. And that's like thesis and antithesis. You swing from one side to the other. Synthesis is where it's all meant to go, and everything is synthesized in divine love. And so therefore books like the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam become his most important works. So this is how we understand Vyasadeva's texts. And Ramakrishna interprets them in a different way. Shankaracharya interprets them in a still different way. But we would say that those that move you towards divine love are moving you towards the conclusion. And it's not that one is bad and the other is good. It's an evolution that we naturally go through, from being materially dharmic and righteous to letting go of things in this world to embracing divine love. That's the evolution.
So what you're saying is, if you start digging a hole and you find a little trickle of that divine love, then
Keep digging.
Keep digging.
That's a great place to dig. Or we would also say, if you're digging, you're kind of going through these layers of first being righteous in the world, then letting go of the things in this world, and ultimately hitting divine love. That's another way you could say it too. But you got to keep digging.
Listen to back episodes of the podcast. Read Punk to Monk.
Read
Journey Home.
Has all the answers.
Eventually,
you get Punk to Monk and you dig right there.
I say Punk to Monk, not just I'm pushing my book. I just made it a very simple. Through my journey, I go through all these different philosophies, and you already know me, and you're a singer of a band. I think you could relate to it. I gave up music and then brought it back into my life. But also, and then eventually, or maybe right away, you'll be like, I want to read the Gita as well. But the back episodes, Kostuba and me explain this stuff in a very sort of palatable way that's not too lofty, that I think you'd like. And then from there, you dive into the more esoteric or philosophical things.
Awesome.
Start little every day, but every day. That's how we get better at everything. We do a little bit every day.
Now let's hear about this Phoenix band. What kind of music do you do?
We play in Newport a couple times a month, usually at the Atlantic Resort. Sometimes Dan, he's the head of the band, and I play a duo at the Newport Elks. We do a lot of like 60s, 70s stuff.
Little Motown?
No, more like Grateful Dead or yeah, this is where we got a squirrel.
We
sing about squirrels.
Very good, very good.
Thank you very much, Sandy. Great to have you. Great singing.
You knew of another band called
And just when
Phoenix
you
in
thought it was
Manipur.
over, we're bringing down Marta.
But you knew another Phoenix band in Manipur, right, Raghunath?
What's that?
There's a band called Phoenix in Manipur.
Yeah, Phoenix from Manipur. Come on. Marta speaks perfect English, but you're like, oh, you're going to make fun of my Spanish. She's from Spain. And I don't want to hear any apologies about your English. It's perfect.
Buenos días.
We don't have
Buenos
time.
días,
And you got to put your mouth right
Señorita
on this
Marta G.
mic.
Buenos días.
Buenos días, ¿cómo está? Bien.
Muy
Muy,
bien.
muy bien.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
No, don't
And
go
now
mixing it up.
we're going to go right. First of all, have you ever listened to Wisdom of the Sages?
Yes, a little bit.
really?
Yes.
Okay.
Not as consistently as Paige, but maybe
Okay.
I'll start.
Okay.
Yeah.
And but are you familiar with Bhakti at all?
Through Lori.
Through Lori. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So you're a yoga student, a yoga teacher?
Yes. I work with tiny humans and I teach.
Tiny humans.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
like
how
dwarf-
tiny?
Like dwarves?
I'm
Just
a
how-
teacher. I'm a teacher. And I try to have them do yoga too. So
good.
it would be lovely to do children's yoga. That would be
Krishna.
wonderful.
I think Marta's doing great on the show so far.
Marta's
Like,
doing great. I don't no more apologies. Let's dive right into your question, dear.
Honestly, all of my questions have been very well answered through these three
Ah,
previous questions. So I do feel
Ah.
nervous, and that's why I didn't really want to come up. I find yeah,
want to throw a wild card in the mix? Just
maybe we can touch on a little bit about what you and I spoke about yesterday about the smaller goods versus the greater goods. I struggle a lot with understanding the bigger path in or the bigger picture on the suffering on earth when good people or when good
Mhm.
has to suffer a lot and go through bad.
Mm.
why do
Um,
bad things happen to good people?
Exactly. I struggle a lot with this. And I also, even like I shared yesterday, I lost a friend to a very tragic accident when they were younger. And for a very, very long time, I always wondered why this person was so good. The world deserved her and she deserved to live a life on this planet. She worked at the Peace Corps and she was just the best human being I ever met. She was my best friend.
And sometimes you see these evil people and they just are stronger than ever. Huh?
Exactly. And then I'm always like, if good beats evil, then why is this happening? And
Mhm.
sometimes I like throw my hands up at the air and I'm like, God, why? Ragana shared this beautiful story with me yesterday, and it
Let's see if you remember the points and you can tell us.
Oh, hot seat. Hot seat. Okay.
um
How do you say hot seat in Spanish?
Caliente.
it's quite nice because it kind of does tie in a little bit with even just the Bhagavad Gita and the beginning of that sentiment of like, I am a warrior, and I don't want to kill, right? Because
Yeah.
killing, supposedly, if you classify things as good and bad, killing is bad, and I don't want to do bad things. I don't want evil to win. So why would I kill?
Mm.
But then Krishna says, don't be weak of heart. Your goal is like you're supposed to kill, right? And then I'm like, but killing is bad. Then why do this? And I think what I understand is that
I
There
didn't say this, by the
No,
way.
no.
She's coming up with this on her own.
you have that ultimately the Dharma was that he is a warrior, therefore he must kill, and because it's the greater good. So I guess understanding that sometimes bad things or things that I would consider are painful and hurtful have to happen for the ultimate better greatness or goodness, right?
Mhm.
And even just tying it back to why does my friend not get to live on this planet and live a life and provide and spread love like I thought she would? And I smiled to Raghunath and I said, thank you, because now I can understand that maybe she was released of the suffering of what this earth is. And in fact, she is in a better place. And although I still struggle with what's been left behind, like the pain that happens from the people that we still hear,
Mhm.
I guess it helped my heart calm down and understand that there is a bigger picture. And again, maybe not question it and just to have the faith. And I'm a little nervous and I'm
I think
You're doing great.
questioning it is super important, and that's what
Yeah.
that's what makes us step forward in our spiritual life. I use the example, which I always do. It's a good example of Ganga Devi throw. If you're just seeing,
Hold it.
what
Say
is
that.
going on,
You lag there. Say that again. Ganga Devi did what?
every time she had a child of Shantanu, it's the beginning of the Mahabharata, she threw this child
which is so tragic. Why-
Tragic.
You kill a-
Completely. You don't get
killing
more
a
tragic than
baby.
that.
Yeah.
Throwing
Little
a child
baby.
in the Ganga,
Why
and
are
throwing
you
it
killing a
down.
baby?
And the
right?
husband,
He was freaking out.
the husband was freaking out, but couldn't say anything because he made a vow: I will never question anything she does. She throws 7 children in the Ganga, and on the 8th child, he refuses. No, you can't take this child. You can't kill this child. And she said, okay, you've questioned me. Now I must leave. I will not kill this child, but you should understand the bigger picture. I am Ganga Devi herself. And in a previous life, we had a romantic affair that wasn't appropriate for the higher planets. We had to take birth on this earth, live out our passions. And now I'm leaving. We were never soulmates like that. We were coming together for particular reasons.
We had our thing.
We had our thing. It's over.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. Let it go. But these children, they're also from a higher planet, and they were cursed to take birth on Earth and immediately be liberated. So they were
asked
birthed
for
and
it.
liberated.
They,
right?
they asked her to do it.
Yes. And so this last one, he actually was cursed to live a very long time. So this last one, he's going to live. So here's my point. From the vantage point on Earth, these children who were killed immediately, how horrible. This is tragic. It doesn't get more tragic than that. But we don't see the bigger picture. We see what's right in front of our eyes. But from the zoomed out picture, these were the blessed children. Whereas this last one, who gets to live a very long time, his whole life was tragic. This is grandfather Bhishma. Noble, wonderful, left with Krishna, but he actually suffered so much. He was cursed to live a very long time, and he was the cursed child. So we don't understand what happens.
Okay, I get it.
Maybe a person has to burn off some karma and go. Even a great soul. Matter of fact, maybe some great soul has just to burn some karma. It's hard for us to let go of someone we love, but for that person, it's over, and that
So
might
from
be the
our
best
perspective,
place.
From our perspective, it's hard to judge who's fortunate and who's unfortunate.
Yeah. We just think death is unfortunate. No way. Death could be very, very fortunate.
And I think that's one component of this. And actually, there's quite a few other components around this very multifaceted topic.
Yeah.
The so-called randomness of pleasure, good fortune, and bad fortune. It's not random. It's perfect, and it worked. And we understand, and I give this example. Some people actually, their entire life is painful. But even the life, 100-year life, say, a centenarian, in the eternal picture of time, that is equivalent to blinking your eyes.
A blink, Marta, just a blink.
It's just a blink. And we have to see ourselves as bigger than this time and space, that we're actually eternal souls. And it's just ups and downs and bigger ups and bigger downs. But there is a benevolent energy, a benevolent source, a benevolent deity, a benevolent God, that whatever it's going, we are just learning lessons. And then by the mercy of great souls who come to this earth and extend their hand, they pull us out of this world of the cycle of repeated birth and death.
You know, there's that other story that I think we tried to tell and we never quite got it right, or maybe I screwed it up or something.
What?
That story about, like, there's this sadhu in this village, holy man, and they always go to him to ask the questions. And one day, like, just, you know how, like, in a village, like, all the chickens, you know, the roosters in the morning, they all start, when the sun rises, they're all...
We got that. We got that.
So,
we got that here at Super Soul Farm.
So in the village, they just stopped doing that one day, and everyone in the village is thinking, that's strange.
The rooster stopped roosting, or
yeah,
cockadoodle doing.
Yeah, and then they went to the sadhu and they said, "This is really strange. All the roosters stopped doing their thing. It seems like an omen or something like that. Can you explain this to us?" And what did he say, Ragnar? Do you remember? He said something like, something like, it's God's, you know, it's hard to understand what God is doing, or it's something, but it could be a good thing or something like that. He said some answer like, let us see what God wants, or something like that. And then another thing happened like that, and a third thing happened, and then like one of them was like fire fire didn't work anymore. Like they were like, trying to start fires and nobody could start a fire anymore. And that was like really concerning. They went back to the sadhu and, now we can't, first was the chickens, then was the other thing, then the other thing. Now we can't even start any fires. What is going on? Help us. You're the holy man. You're supposed to know things. Well, let's see what God wants. And they're like, they just get totally frustrated with him, or like, I think it's a good thing, God will reveal it, and they're just like, enough of this old guy, bearded idiot sitting around here doing nothing, accomplishing zero, not giving us any answers. And then the next night there was like these invaders that they're just sacking one village after another, and it was nighttime, almost morning. And they came to the outskirts of that village, and then they looked and they said, okay, let's go sack that village. And they said, hold it. There's no roosters crowing around. They would be waking up right now and making their sound, and there's no fire. We can't see one fire over there. And these people must have known that we're coming, and they've all taken off. And then they just avoided that thing, and then they all had to go back to the sadhu, right, and say, "Oh my God, you were right." So it can be hard for us to understand what's going on. All right. But there's always this benevolent hand behind it. There you go, Roger. You like that?
The benevolent hand. Thank you so much, Marta.
Marta. All right.
That's it. That's the
stories,
show.
Raghunath. Storytelling.
What?
Storytelling.
It's about storytelling.
What? What was that?
Thanks everybody for joining us.
Mara, where's Mara with the music? There we go.
She's on it. Safe travels, Grace Young. Thanks everybody for joining us late today. We got Bhakti Dave here from Alachua. Somehow up here. We don't know.
Got
how
Russell
you
over there.
fly.
See back
Can't
there.
quite figure out Bhakti Dave.
Got Russell.
Here, let's show everybody here.
Look at everybody.
There they are. We got Nityananda Chandra on his tricycle. All right, here.
He's up there on the tricycle.
It looks like he's riding a tricycle. Graham Tabor, welcome to the show. Good to see you. Who else is here today? Madan Gopal, welcome to the show. The clapping stop, it seems so. It's a little boring now. Okay, there we go. Thanks for all the cues. Keep those Q's and A's that's coming. Hey, everybody, if you like what we're doing, check out our new platform, wisdomofthesages.com. We subsist by people's contributions and people chipping in. If you'd like to support us, you can. Once you do, we have this whole very organized treasure trove of classes, workshops, etc. Oh, look who's here live in the Netherlands. Harry Bowl, you guys.